This is the Nassaumen Hockey Podcast with James Nichols and John Zeller. The New York Islanders take Game 5 on the 41st anniversary of Bobby Nystrom's OT goal against another Pennsylvania team. And now, New York Islanders take a 3-2 lead against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round matchup of the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
We all saw it coming. We all knew.
Oh my God! It's been a ride. But before we get to the game, what's up, pal?
I guess some good news lately. Islanders win. I started my new job today, so feeling it was a gorgeous day out.
That's right.
Had a good first day. So yeah, a lot to be happy about other than going live at 11 o'clock at night on a Monday.
It's definitely a late night on a Monday, but we are here for the fun. It's been an interesting night to say the least. But before we get to the Islanders, let's just get to On the Island, brought to you by DraftKings. It's playoff time. Big stakes, bigger promotions. Every day of basketball's playoffs, DraftKings will have $20,000 in total prizes up for grabs. The best part, it's free. To get your shot at these daily cash prizes, DraftKings will be offering 2 free-to-play pools every day of the NBA playoffs, offering players a free shot at $20,000 in total cash prizes. DraftKings free-to-play protocols are easy to enter. Just download the DraftKings app, go to pools, and choose from a wide variety of free contests for an opportunity to win cash prizes. Download the top-rated DraftKings app now. Use promo code THPN when you sign up to get your free shot at $20,000 in total cash prizes every day of the basketball playoffs. Head to DraftKings pools page to get your shot at huge cash prizes. That's promo code THPN for a limited time only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for more details.
Did you hit him with the graphic?
I hit him with the graphic.
I didn't know. I didn't see it. I was looking at something else. I just wanted to make sure. I worked hard on those. So
of course. And it's beautiful. Might I add? If you're not a normal YouTube viewer, we post these on YouTube every time we record, live or not, and you will see those beautiful graphics. But the series is now 3-2 in favor of the New York Islanders, going back home to the Nassau Coliseum. And I don't know, John, how are you feeling? Game aside, now they're up 3-2. How are you feeling about going back to Nassau Coliseum with a game in hand?
They play well at the Coliseum. I think they did well the other day in front of the 4-0 win. Was that Saturday?
Yeah.
Right. So I've been working like a million days in a row. I can't remember. I was at the brewery, not really watching the game. So every time I walked away from the bar while I was able to watch, they scored a goal. So I just started walking around the brewery and just didn't watch much of the game. I think they have a better chance going back home for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
They play well in front of those fans. They were loud. I think that kind of gives them that little energy boost. They seem to find the offense there. And I think this is Sorokin stole one for them. I think they should definitely not feel happy about how they played, but they managed to do it. I think that's what Coach Trotz says every time.
Yeah.
We just find a way to win. So I like that it's not game 5 on game 6 on the road. I'll say that. They stole 2 on the road. That seemed very unlikely going into the postseason, considering their road record during the regular season. So they're definitely kind of going above expectations in that regard. So I'm happy that where they are, obviously, as fans. But what about you?
I feel good. I feel good. I don't feel great.
Game aside, you feel good.
I feel good game aside, right? I don't feel good about the game, but going back to the Coliseum with a game in hand, I feel good. Reason being is because that last performance at the Coliseum with Sorokin in net, even he was talking about how, you really felt the crowd, you really got the momentum from them being behind us. Trotz said it too. He said, they were fantastic tonight. We fed off of that energy and we're going to need them the rest of the way, he said. So, and, the fans really brought it, vaccinated or unvaccinated, doesn't matter. The fans brought it and they were loud, and the barn was rocking. So, feel good about going back to the Coliseum, because despite an ugly game tonight, it took them about 60 minutes to get started, right?
Which it's not even like, oh, they need to play a 60-minute game. They needed to
Right,
show up for literally any of it.
right.
Despite the goals. It was that's as lopsided of a win as I've seen in a long time with this team.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
they're continuing their inconsistent play, shift to shift.
Yeah.
It is just a roll of the dice every time, and that's what makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely not comfortable. We see Wallstrom go down tonight. Definitely a bit of concern moving forward. No word on him yet. He's day to day per Trotz in the post game conference, but we'll see.
I'm not. How do you feel about that? I'm not super concerned at the moment.
I don't. So upon the replay, right? You saw, first of all, should have been a penalty, because there was a high stick, there was a trip. The way he went down, it was by a trip. Awkwardly fell, his knee kind of twisted in a weird way. He did get up, but he was laboring on one side.
I should say I'm concerned for him, but if he's out, I'm not concerned. I think they have enough.
I think that he brings an element to the power play that they need. It's already not good. So
Yeah, so
minus
then
him, it's worse.
the problem with the power play isn't whether or not he's in it.
No,
It's
but
because that first unit, I'll never understand why Bailey and Barzal are flipped like that, where they're both on their off wing, or whoever is on the off
yeah,
wing on the other side of Barzal. It doesn't make much sense.
yeah.
It's very clearly not working.
No,
So
of
I
course.
don't. The best chance they had was without Wallstrom and the two defenders and that Pavilier shot in the high slot.
Yeah.
That bumper opportunity. So I mean that's at least an opportunity at the net, and a good one at that. Even if that was the only one, sure, at least that's an improvement over what they were doing.
Yeah, but he still brings that shot that nobody else has on the team to the power play. That now
And
if he
they're
is
not giving
out,
him are they giving him the opportunity? You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but they're just not giving him the opportunity. He may as well be on the bench.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. That's my point. They're not giving him the puck, and they're not really using him. All right. A lot of teams will say, okay, they know that Ovechkin shot. Eventually, Ovechkin started looking for those seam passes.
yeah,
Wallstrom does that occasionally, but they're not really even giving Wallstrom that opportunity.
right,
He's done it a few times in the regular season. I think I even said that in an earlier show this year. Was that like he has incredible vision.
yeah,
If he does get the puck in that spot, it's going to the net, whether that's indirectly from him passing to, through the seam or in the bumper spot or, whatever the case is, or he's taking the shot. So they're not really giving him the opportunity that I think that, the opportunity in so much as just playing, but they're not giving the guys on the ice aren't giving him the puck.
yeah. So we'll see how the Wallstrom situation pans itself out moving forward. I think there's a decent chance that he could be good to go for Game 6. A day off for him tomorrow. Who goes in his place? You're probably looking at Travis Zajac if he's not ready to go, right?
That was my first thought, and I don't know that I didn't know how I felt about it. I have to be honest. Palmieri, Pajot, and Zajac doesn't worry me. It's another weapon. Barzal's really not been great on faceoffs.
Yeah.
It showed in this game, and so it doesn't hurt. That's not going to be. It's not Wallstrom in terms of his tenacity. I think he's really turned that up. He's looking to he's playing with a guy like Pajot. I think he's really taking after his game, which is awesome. Just for his own growth, like that's just a good guy to emulate.
Right.
That you get to play with, and if you're going to be playing with him for a long time, Peugeot's locked up for a while. Peugeot's not going anywhere. He's a full-time NHLer at this point. It's not a bad player to kind of take after. But Zajac in his spot, I don't love it. I'd rather Wallstrom, obviously. But if you think you have a good shot to kind of lock it up at home, you throw Zajac in there, and you go with it. Hopefully, you get Wallstrom back for the second round. Although I'm not sure when the second round's going to. If the Islanders close it out on Wednesday, I'm not sure how quickly the second round starts.
Yeah. Well, either way, if Sorokin continues to play the way that he's playing, it's not going to matter who they put in the lineup because this man, this man has taken the crease and he's run with it. He said, Varlamov, thank you for your services and during the season. You've been fantastic. I'll handle it from here on out, my friend. And
48 saves tonight.
48 saves tonight. And here's the thing, right? Game 2, they decided to put Varlamov in, which I've been on the record and will continue to go on the record to say that, yes, even though Sorokin won Game 1, that was the right decision. You put your Vezina candidate, or we assume the Vezina candidate who got you through the regular season in net, right?
In the playoffs, it's not 1A, 1B anymore. It's 1 and 2.
It's
and
1
you
and
go
2.
with the 2 goes in case your 1 gets hurt.
Exactly.
And that's it. That's the long and short of it. And that's
right.
what he went in and he did what he was supposed to do. Like Grice came in last year, the same kind of situation.
Right.
When Varlamov was faltering a little bit, back to backs, whatever. When called upon, Grice came in and did what he needed to do. I think Sorokin did that as well, and that win earned him the benefit of the doubt after 2 losses. Instead of being like, we got to go with our number 1, it's all right. He played really well. He's got a ridiculous record so far. Let's go again and let's see what we can do. And then we saw what the results were. 2 goals against in 2 games.
Right. Well, that's
just ridiculous numbers in 3 games. I mean, it's a small sample size, but it's ridiculous numbers in 3 games against a Penguins team that's really given the Islanders trouble. Their offense,
absolutely.
They're keeping those superstars off the score sheet, but they're, Jeff Carter's having himself a series. A couple other guys. There's a lot of threats.
Right. So the difference here between Varlamov and Sorokin is, Game 2, Varlamov goes in and he gives up that flub of a first goal, but from there on out,
look good.
No, it looked really bad. But from then on out, he was dialed in. Game 3 comes and he was just Swiss cheese. He not one big save when you needed it. Everything was going in the net. So come Game 4, Sorokin.
Well, that was a back and forth game too, and the Islanders' defense has not been characteristic throughout the series.
No,
they're letting a lot more shots through to the net.
Correct.
And I think that's some of them are uncharacteristic on both. They're not closing the gap. We spoke about that last week. A lot of very little things that the Islanders are not doing in this series that even when they weren't winning games in the regular season, the defense wasn't necessarily the issue, right? It was just, it was scoring goals. It was finishing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So the thing here is that Sorokin is making the timely saves. He's making the big saves. He's making the saves that the Islanders are not supposed to be getting. And that's exactly what happens in a game like tonight. The Islanders steal a game because Sorokin was just superb. And that was something that we hadn't been getting from from Varlamov. And that's why he's now Sorokin is in net.
I also can't remember the last time. Well, I don't say the last time. It's not been very many times, especially in the playoffs, where the goaltender for the Islanders stole the game. They've always been very good, and it's been a full team effort defense. This was flat out Sorokin stole this game.
Oh yeah.
You can't take that away from him.
So we constantly talk about, and it's too early to deem him anything, right? He's playing fantastic in his rookie season, but from what we've seen from him throughout the year and what we're seeing from him right now, I don't know if we've ever had a more raw talent of a goaltender in net. Maybe DiPietro was supposed to be that raw talent.
People do forget how good DiPietro was.
Oh, he was.
People that 06-07 season. Well, I don't know. I guess it would have had to been before that All-Star game.
Yeah,
I think that was 07-08. Someone correct me. You can yell at me in the comments, or on Twitter or whatever. He was the starting goalie for Team USA in the Olympics in 06. Right. Like for a second he was poised to be very legitimate. Like it didn't look bad until he started getting injured.
Right. So he unfortunately wound up getting injured, and suddenly we never really got to see him, become what he was supposed to be. Sorokin is on that trajectory, right? If he could stay healthy and fingers crossed, he's on the trajectory to, in my opinion, he's definitely going to be the best goaltender in the East Division soon. And I don't he can take home many Vezinas.
If he can play like this,
doing. If he can continue
with a bigger workload, yeah, he's in consideration for.
And here's the thing: the more shots on net for him tonight, the better he got.
I sensed at the end of the third, or maybe midway through the overtime, I'm like, kid's getting a little tired. Isles got to figure out a way to just at least stay in the offensive zone for a little bit. Like, he's got to catch his breath. I'm sure he's loving it. I'm sure maybe. Like afterwards, it's he's feeling great about it, and he's like, yo, I love the work, love getting the shots on net, but 50 shots is no joke.
No joke.
And with the added pressure, knowing that the other guy maybe really can't go, and you're it, and this is your opportunity, your real opportunity for you to flip the roles, especially next season.
Yeah.
Maybe zooming out a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, it's his first season, and
well, here's the thing.
This is the opportunity he wanted, right? Like, he was asking for it.
It's his first season, but he's not a pure rookie. Like Trot said the other day.
26.
He's
played 70, 80, mid-70s playoff games in the KHL. He's been there, done that.
He's been a pro for a long time. He went on runs in the KHL. He won a Garganian Cup, and he's just used to this kind of atmosphere. Now, he got the accolades speak for themselves. He got the job done over in the KHL. So when he comes over to the NHL, in his rookie debut, was an unexpected start, wasn't that great, but from then on out, he was superb. So this is just, we are the Islanders and us as fans, we're just super fortunate to have Sorokin and Varlamov after a couple of years of going from Yarrow and Greiss, who were a very good tandem together, to Greiss and Lehner, who were a very good tandem together, and then Varlamov and Greiss, who was a very good tandem together, and now Sorokin and Varlamov. The Islander goaltending is pretty much, it's like top of the line in the NHL, and very
it doesn't
fortunate.
Get the credit it deserves.
No, absolutely
honestly,
not.
But it's because it's the same reason why Pulock and Pelech won't get the credit they deserve, just because it is a full team effort there, and that's the whole team doesn't get credit oftentimes, and it's kind of going back to how do you feel about this team, and now I'll just include this past game. It's tough to watch right now. I mean, it's not forget about that as boring or not fun and whatever.
No, it's not about that.
But they're just not playing well. They're really Sorokin seriously stole it. Like it just. The Islanders are able to capitalize on opportunities and good on them, right? Yeah. The overtime goal is a gift. I walked away to set up my computer to do this, and they scored. I was like, I heard the puck was dumped in, and Jari plays it, and I was just I was baffled. If you're Pittsburgh, what are you doing with Jari? Talk about huge question marks.
Huge question mark. He's like,
even in the victory, he let in 4 goals. He's let in 4. He's let in 3 goals in the last 3 games, and 4 goals in the last 2 out of 3.
Going into this game, out of 20 goaltenders in playoffs right now, he's 18th worst out of 20.
Wasn't that a question mark going in? Weren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been a question mark all season, and the Penguins are missing their backup goaltender Casey DeSmith, who is kind of like a 1A, 1B situation going on there with Jari being the A.
Who's the backup now?
I don't even know. I'm not sure, but he's got a serious issue on the glove side, and he makes some questionable decisions with the puck, and ultimately it cost them tonight. So, and on the other end, the Islanders are getting the complete opposite. One thing that I really noticed about Sorokin tonight, which I've had a problem with him with a couple of things all season, but one thing I noticed with him tonight was his positioning was phenomenal. there was that that one deflection in overtime, the first overtime, that it deflected right off of his pad. He didn't even move; it just hit him. So he's had really good positioning. He's seeing the puck real well, and he's just been top notch. I'll still say that the only thing I don't like about his game is that he uses that blocker like a baseball bat. If that puck is coming at him, for some reason, he's punching it and trying to get it away.
Well, the whole rebound situation, and Jari did a little of this too, where but Sorokin does it on a fairly consistent basis, enough for me to notice that he likes to keep the puck live. I think you sent that in the group text tonight.
Yeah, I texted
He
you.
likes to keep the puck live, and it's just very hard to watch that. It's very nerve-wracking. And I'm surprised by this point that they haven't corrected that.
Yeah.
I can't find a reason to do it. It hasn't hurt, but it will. Like, there'll be an overtime, or there'll be some game, some important less than 5 minutes in the third period where he just wants to play the puck, or he just chooses not to cover it, frankly. He's just not aggressive like that. For all the other times he is really aggressive and athletic, he really just chooses to straight up not do that.
It's funny because
wild to me.
I listened to Butch talk about some of the decisions that he makes as a goaltender. He's like, why would he do that? Like, he literally says that on live TV. Yeah. Why would he do that? But he likes to keep the puck live. He likes to keep it going. And I don't know if that's something that, was a strategy for him over in the KHL, but it is something that he is doing and something that he likes to do. And you're right. That was something I pointed out to you right away. I will say, though, he did keep the puck live. And in those situations when he did, it's not like he put the Islanders in danger. He was
not
smart.
Yet. Like I said,
not yet.
It's bound to happen, and that's where I get. It's not a problem until it is.
Yeah, exactly.
With the Islanders scoring as anemic as it is, you need Sorokin to just play the complete game. And Ethan had this comment. Let's get some hype here for the Sorokin of New York.
I like that, the Sorokin of New York. That's a good one,
which is pretty good. And then I know we want to move forward. Just that we can't just talk about Sorokin for an entire episode as much as we want to. Dean mentioned offense needs to get more time, take the pressure off the D. Couldn't agree more. I think that's a huge problem. That the 4 goals they scored on Saturday was great. You kind of hoped, Eberle gets going. He's had good series against the Penguins before. 2 years ago, between him and Bailey, they really carried the team. It was great to see Pulock get on the board. I know you were excited to see that. And just because it was a very Pulock goal. So it was nice to see him do that. So you kind of, Beauvillier's been better. Obviously Bailey manages to save himself from the guillotine pretty much on a daily basis, or a shift-to-shift basis rather. But yeah, they're double teaming Barzal. I want to put more pressure on him.
Yeah.
And I wanted to write an article. I really want to do it, but they're really not giving him room. And I know the best players wind up doing that. But look at Crosby. This is a second point of this series.
Yeah.
Islanders managed to shut him down. Malkin got. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Malkin. Oh, was it Malkin and Crosby? Whatever. They're not scoring. They're not on the board. It's a Jeff Carter. It's things. It's players. It's Gensel getting opportunities.
The Islanders are forcing the Penguins' depth players to have to step up,
and that's what the Penguins are doing to the Islanders. So
right.
Barzal does get a lot of attention. I think they just need to re-strategize at a certain point. And they're going to be playing the Boston Bruins in the next round if they make it.
Right.
And that's not going to get easier. I know they had, they were 5-2 or 5-3 or whatever it came out to be at the end there, or 5-2-1, whatever the hell it was. It's not going to get easier. The Penguins were the salad of their playoff. This is going to be the easiest it's going to be, and they're still not playing them very well, and they're still not really putting that offense together. And then you really got to deal with some serious depth now that Hall is with Boston, and they've experienced that too. So I don't really know what the Islanders need to find an answer. They really need to just close this out and get some confidence here.
Yeah, so like you've basically said about the offense, it's pretty hot and cold, right? A couple of games ago, or last game before tonight's game, they scored 4 goals, and they held the Penguins to just 1 goal, and it came late, and it was just an unfortunate bounce. They really should have put up a goose egg that game, but regardless, it was a great game. They were heavy on the forecheck, and they created a bunch of turnover opportunities, and they controlled the pace of play. Not so much the case tonight, where they didn't control the pace of play. But I will say, the first goal by Anthony Beauvillier, that is an elite skating hands. That's elite skating. That's elite hands. It's an elite shot. The timing of the goal, everything that Beauvillier did in that moment was that of an elite player, and
You've seen him do it. He has
right,
that ability.
Exactly. He has those moments.
He needs to pull it out on a regular basis. And
yes.
Nelson does too. Nelson, I've seen, we've seen him do it plenty of times.
Yeah.
He tries the hot dog a little too much and doesn't use his kind of like north-south game.
Yeah.
But continue.
Beauvillier has been probably one of the best he's probably been the best Islander forward so far in this series, in my opinion.
Which is weird because I felt kind of absent this regular season.
In the regular season, yeah, he started
people
to
were
bring
asking people were asking where he was on a fairly regular basis this
season. He started to bring it on towards the end of the season, and I think that momentum is carried into this first round series a little bit. He's probably been the best forward for the Islanders as a whole, and the second line as a line continues to be their best playoff performing line in the playoffs,
which is so weird because they don't look good most of the all right, so are you saying that because they're the ones scoring the goals, or because they don't look other than it's so weird to say this because it almost doesn't make any sense.
It depends.
They don't look good other than when they're scoring goals.
They don't look
which
good,
is incredible,
ridiculous.
But the Beauvillier thing was Gensel, and that was a great play. It was a great play. I'm not going to take that away from him. The Bailey thing is jarring, fucked up.
Yeah,
it's you got to capitalize. Those are the that's exactly how a game ends in the second overtime.
But listen, so let's talk about Bailey, because this is something that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. Really, there is a crowd of people that hate Josh Bailey. There is a crowd of people that love Josh Bailey. It's so hot and so cold.
I mean, I'm a lukewarm Josh Bailey hater.
I'm with you. I'm not. I love Josh Bailey because he's on the Islanders, right? But I don't love the way he plays sometimes. For example, plenty of opportunities tonight where he tried to be too cute, and he was about to receive a pass, and it was trailing him a little bit. It was coming from behind him, and instead of using his stick, which he was very capable of doing, he tried to kick the puck up to himself, and it turned into a turnover. Wasn't the first time he had turned the puck over in this game, and it wasn't going to be the last either. So he tries to get too cute at moments. He tries to almost play with this swagger that he doesn't, he might not have all the time. However, I will say, I know, but I will say he continues to come in clutch when he needs to. And say what you want about Jari, flubbing a pass and turning that puck over. Yes, absolutely. But he had to be in the right place to do that. And he was.
Again, it's kind of like the goals are the only thing that are saving them. And if there's going to be anything other than saving a goal, it's scoring one.
Yeah.
And in general, it's Nelson and Bailey typically don't look very good. That's really the problem. Bailey, I feel, is lazy. He's waiting for the puck to get to him instead of actually going to get it. And I saw that from a few Islanders forwards tonight. I'm sitting there going, there was one play, Dobson took the puck around the net and he rimmed it around the boards. Komarov just was waiting. He was just looking behind him, waiting for the pass. And Dobson skated towards the middle of the ice to support the play in case something broke down. Dobson had to go get it because Komarov just decided to just not go to the puck. And it just was way past the half wall at that point, above the hash marks. And I was just baffled at a team that like comes in with so much structure,
Yeah.
seemingly so much structure, and the breakdowns are aplenty. This entire that Saturday game was the best game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It not even just the score, just the game in general. And I don't, we say they don't forget how to play the game, yet it seems like they do. It seems like they just the parts of their game they just decide on a whim. We aren't going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And it seems my problem with Bailey most of the time is it seems lazy and bad decisions.
Well,
And then he scores a goal, and you're like, I don't know that those things, two things can be true. My famous saying, two things can be true with this. He can really just not be good and also score goals. I don't think Jeff Carter is noticeable at all on the ice, other than when he's scoring a goal.
right.
He is absolutely not a factor.
Well,
Other than when he scores a goal, and you're like, I mean, he's a good penalty killer, but I don't know how to deal with these players. You just kind of like come out of nowhere and you score a couple goals in a series and you save your reputation. And I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about those types of guys.
Well, the thing about Jeff Carter was he was predominantly the only player who was a problem in game 2 when we lost. From then on out, you don't really notice him at all. You're absolutely right. So,
so he's the Josh Bailey, like he's a Josh Bailey type character. Right. They're obviously very different players, but he's that character for them where it's just like, I forgot he was on the team. He scored in that first game, and I was like, oh yeah, Jeff Carter. And then you look at his regular season stats with since he came over.
Yeah.
And he was ripping it up with that team. So it's no surprise he's scoring goals. But, now watching him game in and game out, yeah, it's not like Gensel where he's getting in the middle of stuff and he's mixing it up and he's, playing chippy on the edge and all of that. Carter's kind of shows up and scores a goal. He can rip it. He's got a great shot. But, yeah, he's same thing with Bailey. Bailey can make some moves. He's a great passer, and he's around the net for rebounds and different plays and pops it in. He won game 1 in overtime in 2019 too.
Yeah,
the famous goal with Brendan Burke. So I think right time, right place. I mean, he's obviously smart. I think Tavares said that about him. I think a number of players said that he's a very smart hockey player. So I wonder what it is that we're missing. We must be the eye test as a fan, even fans like us that are studying the game or watching it very intently. There must be something we're missing. There must be things away from the puck that we're not seeing on TV that you can see in and out in the game, that where he's making a difference that we're not seeing. Because if he didn't do that stuff, he wouldn't be playing, and Trotz would absolutely not play him. If that was the case, if he was not a good player, Trotz wouldn't play him. There's a reason he's in the lineup. He plays there's a role that Trotz sees him filling, and that is why he's there.
Yeah, and you're probably right.
Like, someone I think it was Rachel Dory, he was like, made the analogy that a guy like Trotz is playing 5D chess and we're gluing macaroni to paper. It's just we have very different hockey brains here. Like, it's just not the same thing.
Well, it's interesting. It's because the thing is, and I texted this to you tonight. I've never seen a more bipolar hockey team in a long time. Throughout the NHL, this is the most
team all the time. That's
this
like
is the most
years.
Bipolar team. Like you look at the Edmonton Oilers right now, they chose to not be. They chose to be bad. All right, they're about to get. I think
they're running into. I think they're just running into Hellebuck and.
But that's the thing, right? Yes, they're running into a hot team, but they also have the best team, the best player in the NHL. So neither here nor there, right? The Oilers are playing bad.
I mean, they're also just not a good team,
right? Well, there's that too.
Draisaitl and McDavid,
but that's the thing, right? They are bad. The Jets are good. Or you can go over to the Colorado series. The Colorado Avalanche are good. The St. Louis Blues played bad. And that was just the theme of those series.
Colorado is just an absolute monster. Yeah. We're going to get to some of that later too. But
Right. But that's just the theme of that series, right? This series, it's like, oh, the Islanders were good tonight. Oh, the Islanders were bad tonight. Or oh, the Penguins were good tonight. Or the Islanders were bad tonight. It's never the Penguins were bad. It's Tristan Jarry's bad, but not the Penguins. And only the Islanders are good or bad. It depends on what team shows up. I've never seen a more bipolar team in the NHL. So it's just, I don't know. It's baffling. Now, maybe it has to do with, because it's not, we know the question is not in net now at this point, but the defense. And now we've already stated, yes, the offense needs to help them and play better in front of the defense. Absolutely. But there have been some instances where the defense has been not so great either.
A lot of turnovers,
namely,
bad breakouts.
We are witnessing a bipolar player now in Nick Leddy, who had a fantastic season, and come the postseason, he just can't get it together. I've never seen so many flubbed passes in one game. It's been unreal.
I think he's still getting a lot of time out there. He may just be tired. The Penguins may just be running him down a little bit, which is entirely possible. The same thing with, you have that Islanders fourth line, they hear footsteps, and I mean, he's got a lot of poise. He's been around the block. He's won the cup. He's been with this team for a long time now. Could just be having a bad series. Again, these guys don't forget how to play, but you could just be having a bad series, and it could be a little bit of the matchups. He's having a bad series. His partner's also not playing so well. It could be a bunch of things. He's not taking, if he's playing like shit, he's playing like shit. He's not been the offensive factor. I don't see him carrying the mail as much. I haven't seen here and there. I know he got a penalty. He drew a penalty tonight, if I'm not mistaken. With a offensive zone entry. Not that the Islanders can do anything with the power play, but still, you like to see him with the puck a little bit more, getting the puck out of the Islanders zone and creating some offense. But yeah, he's not been the same player. Yeah. Something might be up, might be a little injured. Islanders kind of play, when they are playing tight D, they're blocking shots or doing all that stuff. It's difficult to maintain. I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders defense isn't healthy, even if someone just misses a game.
Very possible.
Playoffs.
Now, on the other side of that deep pair is Scott Mayfield, and despite one glaringly horrible play that he made in tonight's game, he's been the Islanders' best defenseman.
You think?
I know. I don't know if you saw, there was a graphic tweeted out today of the top defensemen, to this day. And if you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, it was yesterday, that, in overall expected goals for and Corsi 4%, Scott Mayfield is on the top charts under guys like, Charlie McAvoy and I forget who else was on the list. Some surprising names, honestly. And Scott Mayfield was one of them. I couldn't believe that I saw his
that's
name.
one. I like those stats. I think they do tell a story. I think there's caveats like, where is he getting the starts? Is he getting a lot of offensive zone starts, things like that? But it's his defensive zone play that's still a little like missed assignments, a little sloppy. I mean, it's the whole back end.
Like I said,
Dobson actually looks okay. I mean,
Dobson looks real good.
He didn't have a lot of. He had under 20 minutes, I think, going into the second OT or the first OT. Didn't play a whole lot. Every time he had the puck, he was playing pretty well. He's pretty shifty out there for a young kid that this is his first full season. But it's the whole back end that doesn't look great. Even your boy Green, who you never saw made a mistake before, is showing signs of being 38.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. But listen, I mean, Mayfield, he's given he gets a bad rap, right? He gets the tough assignments. He's big, he's physical, he's always battling in front of the net. Now, albeit he probably shouldn't have lost a puck battle tonight to Brian Rust, who's probably 6 inches shorter and 100 pounds lighter than him. But albeit he also does show some good.
How heavy do you think Mayfield is?
Mayfield, I mean, he's like 6'4". Brian Rust is like 5'11". So he
I
should
mean,
be.
I get the height
Yeah,
difference, but that
100
100
pounds was
pounds.
an
All right.
exaggeration. Let's
Okay,
say
I was like,
50.
what do you think? It's like Mayfield's not a two and a half, and that, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure out a weight that would make sense. Although there's some small guys, 170 something like that, in the NHL that would still make Mayfield
Yeah, okay.
a
I'm
270.
exaggerating.
I was gonna say, isn't Ovechkin like 230 and he's a monster?
Yeah, he is. He is. But again, like I said, Scott Mayfield has a way of, in the offensive zone, he knows how to get pucks from the point to the front of the net, and it creates a lot of good opportunities for scoring chances. So he's been pretty good. He's been, in my opinion, better than he was in the regular season, which is good. I like to see that. Interesting turn of events though today. Something that we normally do see is Trotz will put the lines in a blender, but the offensive lines. He put the defensive lines in a blender today as well. And we saw a little bit of Letty and Dobson and then we saw a little bit of Green and Mayfield. Or was it actually, no, I'm sorry. It was Letty, Green, and then Dobson and Mayfield. So what did you think about those pairings?
I mean, it was it was only a few shifts, but they seemed to be okay. There wasn't a noticeable difference in any of that. And I think that's kind of a good thing, that they just do need a little bit of a shakeup. On the D pairs, I would rather that not happen in a game. I'd rather you have at least a morning skate with those pairings and just like get used to each other and where their sticks are. And you're just dealing with, then you're dealing with two lefties and then two righties on a pair. I don't know that I necessarily love that idea. Someone's playing their off wing, and then it's Mayfield and Dobson having to figure out one person on their off wing, and they're kind of young players. If Letty and Green, they're pros. They'll figure it out. They've been put through the ringer. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Two young guys. I don't know if I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love
not
that.
Great.
No. So I'd rather, there's a reason why they were the way they were.
Yeah.
During the regular season. And Mayfield is not Johnny Boychuk, but it's close enough. He's Johnny Boychuk, medium, light, something. Like he doesn't have the same tenacity, but he's big, and he's a right-handed shot, and he can play tough in front of the net. Definitely does not have that same bite to his game that Boychuk had.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to bring that clapper during the game the same way. But he's maybe 70% of the player that Boychuk was, as far as the physicality and things like that, and the tenacity, which is good enough to play with Letty. Like, that's a good pairing.
Yeah.
Up until this season, no one was questioning it.
Yeah.
So you wonder, like, the pandemic and the things, they're still not able to go out despite what we're all able to do now, if we're vaccinated or whatever, what have you. They're really under the same protocol. So the mental wear that, that Emily Kaplan wrote about from ESPN and a couple other people are touching on. We have that, We're All a Little Crazy podcast now as part of the Hockey Podcast Network. The mental wear on them, it must be really hard. So, you almost hope that they can overcome that and kind of ease their mind over time and kind of get back to somewhat normal, but could be anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Grizz says that if we do win the series, I'm very worried about facing Boston. And now, Steve, while I do understand where you're coming from, I'm not overly concerned with seeing Boston.
I need an explanation for this.
We will talk about that, but before we talk about seeing Boston, we do have to win Game 6 or Game 7. So before I talk about Boston, John, let me ask you: do you think the Islanders close it out in 6 games?
They could do it. I don't know that I'm confident that they just take 3 games from the Penguins.
That's not the question. Are they going to win Game 6?
I mean, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not going to try to predict this. Although I don't know how much he was right either. Either way, in front of their home crowd, and for the sake of adding a little drama to all this, I'll say that they close it out at home. It's a good opportunity. I doing it in front of the home crowd, you know, having another run, at least another 2 games after that at the Coliseum. The fans are going to be going nuts. Either way, I remember when it was the Game 6 against the Capitals in 2015, and when they won that Game 6 to force the Game 7, and they were, different series going into that game. But fans are nuts.
Yep.
Fans are absolutely nuts when they won that game.
Yep.
Every goal, the ceiling was literally falling down.
Yep.
I think they've since fixed that at least a little bit. So good luck trying to recreate that moment. But I think they can do it. I think it's going to be the extra energy from the crowd. I think Sorokin's going to be riding a high. Barzal's got to break out eventually. He has to.
Yeah.
And on home ice, I don't know. They stole one. Their rookie goaltender got them a game. 2 in a row. They're building momentum. They know that they can beat them now. It's the 2 games, maybe they didn't play well. Even in the game they won, they didn't play well, but they know they can do it. I'd say they take Game 6.
Yeah, I think they have to take Game 6 because I think that if it and
that wasn't the question either.
funny enough, I called them winning in 7, but now with the way things have gone, I think they have to win in 6 because I think if this game or if this series gets back to Pittsburgh, I'm not sure that they can close it out.
No, on the road, I have a hard time believing it, and even that's despite having won 2 on the road, which was already a giant feat. Don't push your luck.
Yeah, I think if this series
save some of your luck and your rabbit's foot for the series against Boston.
Yeah, I think if the series went a little bit different, I would be more confident in that. I do understand they took 2 on the road and they could do it again, but to have already taken 2 on the road, it's like, okay, we're getting away with robbery here, especially after tonight's game. So don't test your luck. You have to do it at home in front of your fans who quite literally are the 7th man, as Trotz was quoted to say the other night. I liked hearing that, the 7th man. I just think that's where they get it done. 21-4-3 in the regular season, and they just play better there. So it is what it is. I think that's how it's going to be. They have to win in Game 6.
Before we move on to around the rink and speaking about the Islanders' home and winding down the Coliseum, tell us about your tour. At UBS.
Yeah. So the New York Islanders were so gracious to invite me down to a media event tour of the UBS Arena on last Wednesday. So about a week ago, as you're listening to this. And let me tell you guys, you have not seen anything yet. Pictures don't do this place justice. Now, I only saw, the walls being bare. I only saw, and let's be honest, if there were even walls, because it's still under construction. But from what I saw, as soon as you walked into the arena, right, everybody's seen the outside of the arena driving by. It looks great. It looks fantastic. When the first time you step into the main mezzanine, that area is just so large, and you get this sense of like, wow, like I'm in this really, you just feel important being there. I don't know. Long story short, this is going to be something like you've never seen before, right? The Nassau Coliseum, we know it, we love it, and we love it because it's our dump, right? This is the complete opposite of that. Now, I will say it's going to be every bit as intimate because it has the low ceilings, and they did everything they could to continue to capture the sound of the crowd and the fans, but there's just going to be so much for the fans. There's 8 bars that are going to be available, sponsored by Heineken. at on all three levels. There's going to be 8 total bars. Every time you're at the bar, there's always going to be a view of the ice, no obstructed views. You can see the game going on from the bar. All you have to do is turn around. There is a 0 obstructed views in the seats from any point at which you're going to sit. If you're all the way in the back last row up top, you're going to still feel like you're on the ice. This is going to be the greatest arena in all of the United States for anything as of right now.
You're putting a lot of weight on that.
It's not even.
It
It's
sounds
not.
Not just because you're an Islander fan. No, it's not a little biased.
It's not even because I'm an Islander fan. Like I took my Islander fan hat off and I put my reporter hat on, and
even though that reporter hat was a hard hat with an Islanders logo.
Well, yeah, but they made me wear it. But I just ownership heard everything that the fans had to say that they wanted, and they executed it to perfection. It's going to be breathtaking. It's going to be the greatest arena to date. Even the Seattle Kraken team that came over to view the arena, which was a couple days before I was there, told the manufacturers that were on site, we're extremely jealous of some of the things that you guys were able to do that we did not get to do.
Well,
and that's going to be
because they built a very green arena there.
Yeah,
so it's more environmentally friendly, which has its own merits.
But that statement alone, that's one of the newest arena besides the UBS Arena. It just goes to show how much effort and heart they put into this, and it's all because they did it for the fans. Like I said, they heard everything the fans had to say about, wherever they were before the UBS Arena. They heard everything about the Barclays Center. They heard everything about the Nassau Coliseum. They said, okay, we're going to take care of all of that for you. So much to the point where, how when you go to the Coliseum and you're freezing, they're going to make sure that doesn't happen to you while the ice will be unaffected by the temperature. Now, it has to be a certain level, of course, but I was told you won't be freezing going to the hockey game anymore, but the ice will be perfectly fine.
That's awesome. I was definitely jealous that you were able to go and get a first look at it. I think Joe's been there as well earlier on in the process. I'm excited to go. I think I said this before. I'm going to miss the Coliseum now that this is the last go of it. But I'm happy that the saga is over. I really just don't want to talk about it anymore. I love that it's an advantage in the playoffs, and we even talked about it in this episode that they're going to go home and the crowd and all this stuff. I'm happy for it to just kind of be a new chapter for the team. Truly, it's like a last enormous hurdle that it needs to get over. They finally did get, 2 trade deadlines in a row. They're landing, Pajot is not exactly a free agent. He signed like the next day or like an hour later after he got traded. But like they're finally starting to get people to kind of buy into the whole thing. And Barry Trotz is there.
Yeah.
Sorokin came over. Like there's a lot of good stuff going on there. And I'm just kind of happy for this to just fully turn over.
Yeah.
A new leaf, especially the last few seasons. And this is probably a good segue. So
right before
we're going on the island, brought to you by James's hard hat. James's unbiased Islanders hard hat.
But before you move on, I just want to not because I want to be right, but because I'm excited for you and everybody listening and for whoever is going to actually get to go. You said that you're going to miss the Coliseum. When you and I are eventually there together one day, I can't wait for you to turn to me and say, you were right. This is every bit as intimate as the Coliseum, and I still kind of feel like I'm there.
I'm sure it will feel like that. From what you're describing, that sounds great. I think at the same time, it's a silly ice rink the Coliseum is a silly ice rink, and I've thought about it like that because in here in Syracuse, there's a hotel that everybody had their prom in, and all everyone's wedding, prom, every last event was in this thing, and they were going to renovate it and do this whole thing, and I'm like, I don't know that I've ever cared less about a hotel before, ever. Right? I just because I'm like, it's a hotel. I've never been like, oh, this is my favorite hotel. Like that sounds like the most ridiculous statement. And I'm like, like I kind of get it, right? Because to most people, maybe even to less people, the Coliseum is irrelevant. It's a hockey rink in the middle of a parking lot in Uniondale. So I get it. I think there's a lot of memories tied specifically in that building. And I've been going there for 20 years. It's just or more, and I'm sure a lot of other fans have been going there much longer than that.
Yeah.
The team is how old's the team? I've been there half the time. It's I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to forget that eventually. And I don't want to be that hipster fan like I remember like, or
that's gonna be you.
You're like, remember even Barclays Center? Like, I don't want to do that shit. That's stupid. But I'm going to enjoy it. Like I said, I just kind of want the chapter to end. It just been just forever. We've been doing this. It's going to be over, and then it's not over, and then I want the door. I don't want this season to be over, and for that to be the thing, right? But at the same time, when it is finally the last one, thank God. Just kind of put it away. I have my photos. I have my memories. It'll be sad, but just pull the Band-Aid off. This has
Can't wait to show my grandkids.
This has been the longest Band-Aid rip in history of just this. Like,
you're right.
Or it's like a rom-com movie, like Will They or Won't They? And you're just like, this whole thing forever. And you just we need to just like kiss already. Just do it. And we need to move on. Those are kind of my feelings. It's going to be upsetting. I don't like that I'm not going back. I don't like that that's done.
That's tough.
I guess I could go down. I suppose I think it'd be terribly hard to get tickets, but I don't like that. And I had to actually think about the last time I was there for a game. So no, it's going to suck, but I'm happy that Belmont's here for a number of reasons, like I said, and happy that it'll feel like the Coliseum, maybe with better concessions and not as long bathroom lines.
I guess
that's all we can ask for.
Listen to this. You're gonna have an app on your phone that tells you how long the bathroom lines are. Oh, this bathroom is a 5-minute wait. I can go to this one over here. That's a 2-minute wait. I'll be fine.
Alternatively, you'll never know when the trains are actually going to come from the Long Island Railroad to the arena. So at least you can know how long the wait will be for the bathroom. But will the train show up? Who knows? It could be that night. Maybe you'll get home that night. Up in the air. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. I go to the bathroom.
All right,
I don't want to know. You know what? I'll say this. I don't want to know how they know that. I don't want to know what is all the mechanics in going all over that. I just don't. I don't. We can move on.
That's a good point. Let's move on. Let's go to let's head to Around the Rink, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network and the Hockey Writers. How about that scary Tavares injury, man?
That's I was trying to segue before, the ending of the Tavares era and all this stuff and how it happened. And as much as I love that kind of like visceral reaction, and that obviously the Islanders beating them a number in Toronto, the Barzal hat trick, the whole thing. I think, and I don't like that this was the thing that kind of turned fans like back okay with Tavares. But I'm kind of glad that I saw a lot of fans like, okay, it's over.
Yep,
we're done. Don't want to see that. Please get better. Yep. He's a good hockey player. He's a big reason why this franchise is even remotely relevant. And I bet you there are a lot of fans that regret burning the jersey. I don't think they regret, the heckling and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of all in good fun to a point.
Yeah.
But the fans that went overboard, no, they went a little overboard. I'm glad I didn't burn my jersey. But yeah, that was scary.
Yeah.
I watched like the initial replay and then I turned it off. I didn't want to see it a bunch of other times.
Yeah.
It was, and then the Toronto Sun had that photo.
What I was gonna say.
And there was and in Montreal as well. I don't know. I forget what paper that was, but just disrespectful.
And that's one of the things that I when I'm writing a story, I consider myself a journalist. I know you consider yourself a journalist. I would never think that was a good idea for any of my stories. I don't care if it meant I was going to get 1 million clicks on a story. That is not a good idea ever to do.
You lose legitimacy as a paper. And now I think and Kyle, general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, said this. He knows it's not the columnist's idea to do that. They don't write the headlines and they don't pick the photos. That was a larger editor's problem. That's like the paper's philosophy and morals and all that kind of stuff. So your point's well taken. Obviously, we would never even set it up to be like that or suggest it in the slightest. It would be like republishing some slam piece about how when Tavares left and all that, like right after. You just like you don't do it. It's not the time. And in that case, it's never the time to post a photo like that. It was bad enough to watch it. It was bad enough to just like seeing the tweets and then the video popping up, and you're like, you don't know what it's going to be, and it was in full speed. Yeah, it was brutal. And then I think the people were questioning the fight afterwards a little bit between Nick Foligno, formerly of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I have thoughts on that.
I want to hear them because I kind of heard a couple other podcasts and they were talking about it, and I agreed with a particular take. So I want to hear what you have to say first.
So, and I didn't have this opinion on my own. I can't take credit for the thought of it, but I was listening to Jeff Marek on 31 Thoughts, and he had a really good take on it, and I happen to agree. And he said, the way the game is played, it's played in two different ways. It's played with your head and it's played with your heart. So, at any given moment, depending on what's speaking to you louder is how you're going to react to something. And, with Nick Foligno, he just kept saying one thing in the post-game interview. Our captain was lying on the floor. He couldn't move. And that was his heart telling him that he needed to do something to gain, or to build momentum back for his team. Our captain was on the floor, and I'm doing this for our captain and for our team. We got to get back in this game. We got to do this for him. And as silly as those premeditated fights might be and everything, this wasn't so premeditated. This was, Perry, Foligno kind of gave him a nudge like, hey, we're going to go and do this. And Perry was like, really? Like, we're going to do this? And Foligno was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And Perry obliged. He happily obliged. So I don't mind that Foligno did it because he was doing it for his captain.
I think it was a mix of that, and the take that I heard that I agree with was that there was still a hockey game. There's still a playoff game to play.
Yeah.
And you kind of needed to snap your team into it a little bit.
That too, right. And that was part of what I was saying with, he needed to do it for his team and for his captain.
Yeah, I was just to be like, you still got to get out there, and it needed to be done, right, wrong, or indifferent. The fight needed to happen, whether it was intentional or not. And some people were questioning, was it the nameplate? Was it because Corey Perry is not exactly an angel?
Exactly.
And is he just kind of paying for? Is this a little bit of reparations here? I don't know about that necessarily, but I think it's just it needed to happen. That kind of injury takes place. It kind of just needs to happen. I don't like that it did. I don't know that, a guy gets hurt. It's a dangerous game. Let's answer that with throwing hands. That doesn't seem logical, but hockey is far from that. And it's very emotional. And I think that was kind of Merrick's point,
Right.
too, is, a lot of it, it's just, man, neither of us want to do this, but we have to do this. This is just, Foligno was a captain. I think Perry was probably an assistant captain in Anaheim. Had to have been. I think it was just two players that just felt like they needed to do it just for the game. Perry figured he needed to answer, and Foligno knew he needed to do it for a couple of reasons.
Now let me ask you this: you brought up a good, state. You said something well in is it because of the nameplate? If it was Jesper Kotkaniemi, does that fight happen?
That does it that ultimately injured Tavares?
No, I'm saying that if it was instead of Perry, it was Kotkaniemi.
That's what I mean. So if Kotkaniemi injured Tavares.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that's a good question.
Tough, right?
I want to say yes, just on principle. It's probably not Foligno. It might be a lighter weight guy that says we got to go. And it probably looks like two cats under a blanket rather than a fight. But I imagine it still kind of takes place. That knowing what if it's the same result, in so much as the Tavares injury, I think something happens. It's just a lighter weight fight. It's not Foligno and Perry. Yeah. Foligno is no spring chicken.
Right.
He's a big guy. Yeah. So he can handle himself. And I think I've seen him fight before.
Yeah.
And that's why Toronto brought him on, because he's beat them up before in the playoffs. Last year, in fact, they knocked out Toronto. So they went to the team that kicked him out, that knocked him out, and said, "We're going to take your captain." Ingenious. So yeah, I think it happens one way or another.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, moving on to the other series going on throughout the NHL. Believe it or not, Islanders and Penguins are not the only series that's going on.
Like hell, you say. The center of the hockey universe is at Nassau Coliseum.
But are there any surprises so far throughout the playoffs for you?
I know Vegas is good, but I did not expect them to hold the Wild to 4 goals.
Oh, man.
I thought that'd be a little closer. I know Tampa's really good. Again, I expect them to win, but I didn't expect both those series to pretty much be 4-1. Unless I think Spencer Knight won tonight. Did he win as rookie goalie?
I think he did.
I think he did. So maybe that series is a little closer now. It didn't look good. I think they were up. Lightning were up 3-1 in the series. Everything else seems like it's doing what they were going to do. The Capitals were out of sorts going into the playoffs. Boston wins 4-1. Colorado was a machine.
Yeah.
They were going to run over St. Louis. I think the difference in points was 20-something points between them.
Yeah.
In the regular season. St. Louis just didn't have a chance. Bennington is going through a thing. I feel for the guy. He is quite literally fighting it.
Yeah.
Winnipeg and Edmonton, I kind of, that's fine. I didn't expect Edmonton to just not be able to win a game. But I think people had them winning. Winnipeg's at least more of a complete team. Mike Smith is 38 or 39 years old. He has not had a great track record over the last few years. That was a fairy tale. That was not going to last. Toronto, I think they're playing tonight. If they didn't already win,
they won.
So they're up 2-1, and they probably creamed them.
They won 2-1.
Okay, they didn't cream them, but They won, and that's good. And I kind of
Yeah.
expect that series to kind of grind out quite a bit because I don't think people give Montreal enough credit, despite the divisions they played in. What am I missing?
Well, then we have the series that are over.
Right. Like I said, like Boston and who is Carolina playing? Nashville.
Nashville.
That's
That's a bit of a surprise to me.
You think
Nashville's
so?
hanging in.
Yeah, that might be the only one that's like the underdog is kind of coming up there a little bit.
Series is tied 2-2.
Yeah, so that's really the only one that's not one team kind of taking over after a certain point in the series. Other than with the Islanders, but that's more the Islanders can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh is not that good. Like I know they won the division, but
listen, they're not that good.
The Islanders aren't losing. They lost 2 games to a team that's really just not that good.
Yeah,
this isn't like Nashville like stealing games, and they have absolutely no business beating Carolina. And that would be devastating for that franchise to not make it and play Tampa and have a chance to, or Florida to kind of move on to the conference final. But
what if I told you that the Wild are beating the Golden Knights right now 3-2? The shots are 23-8 in favor of the Golden Knights. The Wild have scored.
Are you sure that's not an Islander game?
The Wild have scored
like some wild shit.
The Wild have scored literally wild. 3 goals on 8 shots. Kaprizov, Parise, and Greenway have all scored.
Parise made it into the lineup, huh?
Yeah, he made it into the lineup tonight.
He was out 7 of 8 games, or 6 or 7, or something like that, and he was devastated.
I tell you, man, Mark Stone. I want the Islanders to get Mark Stone so bad when Ottawa was ready to give up on him, and he would have been the perfect Barry Trotz player. Perfect.
I am in no way necessarily comparing the two, but is Peugeot not Stone Light? A Keystone Light, as if you
yeah. He is, but this Peugeot was a year after. Stone was the year previous, but
that's I mean. I'm just saying, like it's just like Peugeot is not like Stone Light.
Yeah, Peugeot is Stone like, but Stone is just elite. Level.
It's elite. I bet Peugeot is not like they're playing very different games, but I think for how well Peugeot fits in, you really can't ask like. You can't ask better unless it was Mark Stone. That is literally actually is Stone a winger?
Stone's a winger.
Okay, so that almost it's almost apples and oranges a little bit.
Yeah,
but they are very similar. Peugeot is like Stone. It's not the other way around. Stone is obviously the guy, right? Like he's the better player, but
Barker M says that Zach Wheeler just left the Oilers-Jets game shortly before the end of regulation. He was hit in the groin by a slap shot that he blocked. The Oilers and the Jets are going into overtime with the Oilers season on the line. So that is a game to watch as the Oilers season might come to an end, and it would be a shame to not have Connor McDavid move on in the Stanley Cup playoffs any further.
You want McDavid Matthews. That's
good for
it's good for ratings.
It's good. It's good for hockey. A series that surprised me. It's one of them that's over now, and it's not the Colorado series. It's the Bruins series. I did not expect the Washington Capitals to, after the first game, they lost out.
They were beat up going into that series.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to end that quick. I thought that it was going to be at least 6 games. I thought it was going to be a bit of a grind. I would have liked to have seen them beat up on each other a little bit more.
For the Islanders' sake, kind of.
Yeah.
You don't want a well-rested Boston team now.
Right.
And then you don't really know when the second round's going to start. Right. Knowing the NHL, the North Division is going to be taking its time.
Right.
And barely be through the first round. And the Canucks regular season just ended.
Yeah, that's true.
For God's sake. And Boston and the Islanders will be playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that series is going to end too early.
Yeah.
And they're going to be sitting around waiting for them to figure out where the both conference finals and the Stanley Cup final are going to, what bubble they're going to be in, or wherever they're going to go to
Yeah.
figure that out. What a disaster, this league.
Yeah. But I was also definitely surprised, like you said, by the Wild and the Golden Knights series, because although the Golden Knights are up 3-1, the Wild are bringing it to them. But the most surprised I think I am is by the Nashville series and Carolina series. I have 2019 St. Louis Blues feels from Nashville.
That is a lot of positivity for a team that has come pretty much out of nowhere. I mean, is Soros back doing his thing?
Soros is doing his thing. He's outstanding right now.
They have the bits and pieces. They just they've progressively gotten worse. And then they got John Hines behind the bench.
Yeah.
Who's
mediocre.
Not super great. Yeah, they were what were they, a 59-point team? Like, it wasn't,
they stumbled into they fell into the playoffs.
I mean, Carolina's no joke. They could just be not playing well. It depends on
I had
what's
Carolina
going on there.
I had Carolina possibly winning the cup. Like, I had a Carolina Colorado final.
Jeez, that's kind of nuts. I don't know about that. I figured it would be them in Tampa for sure. In the second round. But yeah, I have no idea. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so they
just don't have good luck. Like, they went to that Stanley Cup final a few years back. Back when I think Subban was still on the team, and they have not looked the same since then.
Yeah, they haven't. So that's why I was a bit surprised by how well they were doing against the Hurricanes currently.
I wonder if it's the Hurricanes not playing well.
I mean, as far as
more than it's Nashville playing well. Like, it's Carolina's losing the series, it's not Nashville winning it. You know what I mean?
As far as I know, I just the Wild. I mean, I'm sorry, the Predators are bringing it to them. They're doing a good job. So
that's great.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I think that's it for us tonight, pal.
It's a late one.
It is a late one.
Thanks to everyone hopping on the stream here. That's pretty cool. Appreciate that. Double overtime will do this to us. That we're up late night. Oh man, what a nightmare! If you're I can't stay up late after nearly having a heart attack for an extra 40 minutes. If you're listening to the recorded version of this, next time we go live on YouTube, just be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get a notification for when we do go live. But until then, we want to say thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network, the hockey writers, and of course, all of you, our listeners. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to or watch it. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Nassaumen Hockey, and you can find our work at the Hockey Writers. Until next time, everybody, let's go Islanders.